welcome back to my channel. So I just wanted to talk briefly about Black Sun because I finished it and I don't know how to live. So thank you to Libero FM for giving me the advanced listeners copy, and thank you to, I guess, Hear Our Voices and NetGalley for giving me Black Sun. Means the world to me. This book was everything I wanted and more. 5 stars. So just getting into it, I would like to preface by saying that the plot is like very hard to pin down for me. The Goodreads summary. I'm gonna go off this. Don't drag me, Chanel and Aaron, because I'm having a hard time. I may not even keep this in, and I may summarize it on my own, but I need to vocalize it first so I can get it out of my head and I can get my own thoughts instead. So it says I'm not gonna do this to myself. So the glare actually isn't too bad on these, so I may just keep them on the whole time. From New York Times best-selling author of Star Wars, Resistance Reborn comes the first book in the Between Earth and Sky trilogy, inspired by the civilizations of pre-Columbian Americas and woven into a tale of celestial prophecies, political intrigue, and forbidden magic. A god will return when the earth and sky converge under the Black Sun. In the holy city of Tova, the winter solstice is usually a time for celebration and renewal. But this year, it coincides with the solar eclipse, a rare celestial event prescribed by the sun priest as an unbalancing of the world. Meanwhile, a ship launches from a distant city bound for Tova and set to arrive on the solstice. The captain of the ship, Giala, is a disgraced teak whose song can calm the waters around her as easily as it can warp a man's mind. Her ship carries one passenger, described as harmless. The passenger, Serapio, a young man, blind, scarred, and cloaked in destiny, as Giala well knows. When a man is described as harmless, he usually ends up being a villain. Crafted with unforgettable characters, Rebecca Roanhorse has created an epic adventure exploring the decadence of power amidst the weight of history and the struggle of individuals swimming against the confines of society and the broken past in the most original series debut of the decade. I agree. So basically, this book, you follow 3 main points of view, and then there's kind of a side point of view that is thrown in, I want to say around 50% of the book, and that POV kind of helps tie in what happens at the end. Oh my goodness. So the 3 main POVs are Giala, the pirate teak captain, and teak are a group of people who can control the ocean, and their beliefs differ from those of the who come from Tova and those who come from Obreji. So she's kind of like an outcast in every sense of the word. She's a pirate captain, obviously. If she can control waters, that's a good job for her. And just the way that you're introduced to Giala is the most iconic thing I have ever seen. And the way that Rebecca Roanhorse brings back the way you first meet her a few times throughout the story is just so great. I love it. We love a consistent character. And then we also follow Serapio, and I do want to preface by saying that chapter 1 opens with Serapio's point of view. It's him as a child, and his mother begins she's, I don't want to say tattooing because it's not tattooing, it's scarring. So she's making the traditional scarring tattoos of this world on her son when he's young. And then she also forces him to drink some sort of drugs, and then she commits suicide. So trigger warnings for child abuse, drug abuse, suicide, because there's a lot of that in Serapio's story. He's literally the softest being, and I feel so bad for him. But he's also a crow god type thing, and he's the one going to Tova for the solstice, and so you know he's gonna fuck shit up. And then the third point of view is in Tova with the actual sun priest herself, named Naranpa, and she is not a sky maid sun priest, so she faces prejudices because she comes from the Ma and she's made of like earth, I think is what they call it. So there's like political intrigue with that. There's non-binary characters who use neo pronouns. Can you see how excited I am just about that one fact? There's like amazing tension between Narampa and Itkan, the non-binary person that Narampa likes in her point of view. Well, I wouldn't say like they have a history together with Seer, and so there's some feelings and some angst and some decisions that were made, and I just hope that book 2 writes Itkan, because that that no, I didn't like that. I hated that for Narampa and myself. So yeah, and then the fourth kind of POV that we get is a character named Okoa, and he is part of Carrion Crow, so like the same group of people that Serapio is coming to like help. And it's just so interesting. This book basically talks about, like, I don't want to say tribal, because Tova isn't a tribe, it's a whole holy city. So it's kind of like there's racism and there's misogyny and there's like tensions between these people in pre-colonial South Americas, and Rebecca Roanhorse does a really good job in showing that in a fantasy setting, because this stuff existed. This stuff has existed. The South America is like one of the oldest civilizations, so, or has some of the oldest civilizations, so like, I love it here. The next thing that I would like to mention, I think I've gone over the characters a lot, is the plot. Yeah, so you're following Giella, and Giella ends up taking Serapio's cargo on her way to Tova, because she's been hired out to take cargo to Tova, but she doesn't know why, and she doesn't know who Serapio is, and so you kind of take this journey through the ocean to Tova with Giella and Serapio. Meanwhile, we're also getting the political intrigue and the deceit and betrayals and choices that are being made with Narampa and Tova. I have so many cool theories. I can't wait to talk about this book more once it's actually out, and I can spoil it more freely because more people have read it. But it's so good. The characters. Like, if you're not someone who's big on quest stories, I would still encourage you to read this, because somehow Rebecca Roanhorse managed to make this a plot yet character-driven story, so you really get it all. You're super invested in these characters and their storylines and what's going on, and I literally liked every single point of view that I got. I loved Okoa and how he like came in at the end and was like, haha, you're gonna be fine. And I loved Naranpa and how she went from like, I can do this, I'm holding off peace, it'll be okay, to fuck this shit, I'm taking shit into my own hands. You do this for me, please. And it's just great. And then Giella and Serapio, just the honey scene. And then the bath scene. Listen, to everyone who likes Sarah J. Maas and like the Aelin and Rowan bath scene and like the feelings between Sarah J. Maas's characters, I think you'll really like Black Sun by Rebecca Romers because the character work is divine. The writing doesn't waste any time. The prose is so concise and to the point that you're just like, yes, this is great. I love it here. Anyways, I've been talking about this for a really long time, so maybe I'll just end it here. No, I'm gonna call pile this. So I've done characters, I've done the plot, the atmosphere is really good. It just feels. Monet mentioned on like Chanel's crusty book club live show that she could see herself in the story, but she couldn't picture the surroundings. And I kind of felt similar with Black Sun. So like I can see the ship that I'm on with Ciela and Serapio, but like it's not as atmospheric as some of the other reads that I have read this year. It just, I think the intrigue and how much you care for the characters is really what pulls the story forward and helps you keep interested. Logic, I think, is the one I haven't. Logic and enjoyment are the ones I haven't covered. So, logic, everything by the end made sense. I was able to form my own theories quite quickly as I was reading, and usually I have to talk to people before I can get a lot of theories out of my head because I like to absorb information, process it, and then come up with my own stuff after I'm like, oh yeah, I can see this and this and this and this, but a lot of the time my brain is just real head empty, but this time it was working. The wheels were turning. I was in Mina's DMs just crying, like, please get to this part. Please do this. Please. It's so good. How am I still talking about this? Obviously, I enjoyed it. It's 10 out of 10 for every... It's a strong 5 stars. Just read this book. That's everything. I hope you enjoyed this rambly rant thing. I just wanted to talk about Black Sun, and I know it's all over the place, and I'm sorry, but I will have a better sit down with me where I talk about it in a current reads with some other book once I have like once it's been released and I have my physical copy, because I want to read it with mine eyes on paper. And so I might talk about Black Sun and Addie LaRue in one video because they're released in the same week, and I've already started Addie and I have finished Black Sun, but I want to reread it because it's that good. So yeah, once I have more thoughts, I'll be back. Sorry I'm putting you through this, but I figured someone somewhere will enjoy seeing me this excited about this book maybe, and someone somewhere may want to pick up this book because of me now, because I've incoherently rambled and raved about a book that isn't even out yet. What am I doing here? Anyways, I think Felix is going to be back soon, so I'm going to head off before they get home. Bye! Thanks for watching.